Okay, we are going to begin with our official press conference. If we can ask our own people to kind of settle down so that we can hear the speakers, that would be great. We are not going to be paying very much attention to the people who are here expressing their hatred for our existence. So welcome. My name is Rebecca De Leon. I am with the ACLU of Idaho. This is a collaborative effort between the ACLU of Idaho and Poder of Idaho, IORC, the the Idaho Organization on Resource Councils, and several community members. So we are actually going to have a lineup of 4 people speaking to you today. The impacted community members that we promised in our press release are every single person talking to here is an impacted community member. Everybody who is going to be speaking today was on the ground yesterday. They saw what happened and they have loved ones who were involved. So I am going to kick it off with the ACLU Executive Director, Leo Morales. Please welcome Leo Morales.
Wow, it's been a while since I've used one of these. Friends, we are gathered here today to condemn the action that occurred this weekend in Wilder. We are condemning this action in the strongest words possible. When the government uses ultimate force to remove individuals, that is wrong. When the government comes in and arrests everyone, regardless of immigration status, because that is exactly what happened this weekend, right? The government came and arrested everyone, U.S. citizen, women and children. Every Idahoan should be horrified whenever government takes that type of action. And so today we are here to condemn that action. I'm also here to say that I am ashamed that the Governor Little, and other law enforcement officers took part in this event as well. They likely knew exactly what was happening, and they could have done their work differently. But they chose to do this operation in the worst possible way to bring the greatest harm possible to the community. This was a community where we had children attending to participate in a weekend event, right? And the government came in full force, military style, helicopters, drones, and arrested and handcuffed everyone, again, including children. No person, no Idahoan, no American should ever accept whenever a government does this to its own people. No, and never. And so today we are here to condemn those actions. I'm here to call on the governor as well for true leadership to truly rise and to defend every single person's constitutional rights. Enough is enough when it comes to the abuses that are continuing to occur. The governor should not be a puppet. The governor should not be lockstep with the president, who aims to remove as many brown people from this country, because that is exactly what we're seeing with these operations. Again, if the government wanted to do an operation that strategically, they could have done it differently. But they chose to do it in the harshest, most inhumane way by using the entire force possible, including military operation style, to conduct this operation. What's left now is trauma because of this terrorist type of activity. Children have been left harmed as a result of this activity that occurred this weekend in Wilder. That is decades to recover from this type of trauma. And so again, we're here to condemn this activity. We're gathered in solidarity. We're gathered peacefully, and we will continue to organize to push back against this type of government action that is wrong. Thank you, everyone.
All right, thank you. That was Leo Morales with the ACLU of Idaho. The next speaker that we have is Nikki Ramirez Smith. She is an attorney at Ramirez Smith Law, and she will be talking to us next.
Hello, I was present yesterday during the raids. Okay, I was present yesterday during the raids. It was a very disturbing situation. A number. There were a number of families out there trying to figure out where their children were. Some children had went with one parent. Some were grandparents looking for their grandchildren to see if the parents had been taken. Some were one parent who the children had went with the grandparents. We do have credible information that the children were zip tied and tied up and handcuffed, and so the children were detained as well. It appears that everyone that was there was detained, U.S. citizen or not. Eventually, it was over an hour that we were there that we could not get answers on what happened to the children and where the children were going. We repeatedly asked. Okay. We repeatedly asked for answers as to what was happening with the children to the law enforcement. We got no answers whatsoever. Sheriff Donahue was on his horse, and we requested answers from him as to what happened to the children. He said that he would go find out and come back. He did not return. Eventually, some officers came out, and one of the agencies communicated with us that the children were okay, that they were going to be released with family members. At that point, we communicated that to the crowd. When people did go through the barrier and start to move towards the area where they had everyone detained, that was because they were getting no answers as to where their children were. They were also getting information that their children were tied up back there and were being detained and handcuffed. And so people were really, really concerned about the whereabouts of their children. And so that was relayed numerous times to say, look, this crowd will calm down, but we need to know where the kids are. And we did not receive that information. Eventually, people did go back, at which time rubber bullets were fired at them. There were some threats to move faster. They would force people to move faster. The military was there. It appeared the military, saw Canyon County Sheriff, the sheriff out in that region, Sheriff Donahue. We saw CBP. I'm trying to go through all the agencies that were there. Definitely the FBI, DEA was there. I said CBP. There were a number of different agencies. There were helicopters. There were dogs. There were all kinds of different things going on. It does appear that everyone was detained, at which point they would slowly release people based on, a citizenship line versus another line. There's very disturbing videos that are surfacing from inside of what happened and how everything had went down. There was no one out there to provide any answers to the people who were missing family members. It was a very difficult situation. At this point, there is still a number of people who are detained. I can say that there are many of them who have absolutely no criminal history whatsoever. And they are currently still detained with no criminal history and no prior deports. So we don't know what the status and the future of that is right now. It does appear that the children have all been released. So it does appear that all the children have been released. We did meet with a couple children who don't know where the parents are. We're trying to figure that out at this point. We have located the parents, but there are some situations. I think there is going to be a lot of children in this community that are severely disturbed and upset about what happened, and I think the community needs to rally around those kids because this was a family event. There were toddlers there. There were 5-year-olds there. There were a number of little children who were detained and watched a very horrific and traumatic event that I think went way beyond what was necessary.
All right, thank you. That was Nikki Ramirez Smith from Ramirez Smith Law. We have 2 more speakers before we will open it up for questions. Our next speaker is Jackie Vasquez. She represents IORC, the Idaho Organization for Resource Councils. So next we got Jackie.
Back in 1986, under the Ronald Reagan administration, the Immigration Reform and Control Act, often called the Amnesty Act, gave many undocumented individuals, including my father, a chance at stability. It wasn't a guarantee, but it was an opportunity. And for many families like mine, that word opportunity meant everything. For nearly 40 years since the act passed, we've been told that America is the land of opportunity. We've held on to that belief even as the pathway to citizenship has grown narrower and more uncertain. Many thought the Amnesty Act would open doors. Instead, it's marked the beginning of decades where those doors have slowly closed. My father, like so many others, took on the work others refused to do. Long, grueling hours in fields and ranches across eastern Idaho. Despite being provided basic housing, he worked 16-hour days, 6 days a week, earning $1,100 a month to support a family of 4 and our horses. That was the 1980s, early 1990s. Yesterday, in Wilder, Idaho, October 19th, 2025, we witnessed the opposite of opportunity, liberty, and justice for all. Hardworking men and women who simply wanted to spend their Sunday with family, to rest and enjoy a horse race, were forcefully detained, zip-tied, and arrested. Families were separated, children were left terrified. These are the same individuals who wake up before sunrise and work until sundown, and the people who make the state's economy run. And for that one day of rest, they were targeted. What happened yesterday is not just an incident. It's a reflection of a broken system that continues to dehumanize the very people who sustain our communities. And we need to stand together and keep our families together for them. Okay, going in Spanish now. En 1986, bajo la administración de Ronald Reagan, la Ley de Reforma y Control de la Inmigración, o mejor conocida como la Ley de Amnistía, brindó a muchas personas indocumentadas, incluyendo mi padre, la oportunidad de alcanzar la estabilidad. No era una garantía, pero sí una oportunidad, y para muchas familias como la mía, esa palabra, oportunidad, lo era todo. Durante casi 40 años después de la aprobación de esa ley, nos han dicho que los Estados Unidos es la tierra de las oportunidades. Nos hemos aferrado en una creencia incluso cuando el camino hacia la ciudadanía se ha vuelto más incierta. Muchos pensaron que la ley de amnistía abriría puertas. En cambio, marcó el comienzo de décadas en las que esas puertas se fueron cerrando poco a poco. Mi padre, como tantos otros, aceptó el trabajo que otros no querían hacer, largas y agotadoras horas en campos y ranchos por todo el estado de Idaho. A pesar de contar con un hogar para vivir, trabajaba 16 horas al día, 6 días a la semana, ganando solo $1,100 al mes para mantener a una familia de 4 y a nuestros caballos. Ayer en Wilder, Idaho, octubre 19 del 2025, presenciamos lo opuesto a la oportunidad, libertad y justicia para todos. Hombres y mujeres trabajadores que simplemente querían pasar el domingo en familia, descansar y disfrutar de una carrera de caballos, fueron detenidos a la fuerza, atados con bridas y arrestados. Separaron a las familias y a los niños quedaron aterrorizados. Estas son las mismas personas que se despiertan antes del amanecer y trabajan hasta que oscurece. Las personas que hacen funcionar la economía de este estado, y por ese único día de descanso fueron perseguidos. Lo que ocurrió ayer no es solo un incidente, es un reflejo de un sistema roto que continúa deshumanizando a las mismas personas que sostienen nuestras comunidades. Gracias.
All right, that was Jackie Vasquez from IORC. We will have one speaker left in the lineup, but we do have a bonus speaker after that. We also would like to just point out that we usually have, when we have protests and gatherings, we usually have police who are here to protect us. They did not come today. But our final speaker in the list today is Ruby Mendez Mota. She is here as co-executive director of Poder of Idaho. ¿Me pueden escuchar? Can you hear me? Okay.
devastation in people's faces, the panic, the heartbreak, loved ones detained without warning, without explanation, fathers, mothers, sons, abuelitos, taken away, no notice, no phone calls allowed, no dignity. People gathered, begged for information, and received nothing but silence, just like we see right now. There were mothers holding photos, birth certificates, IDs, hoping for some kind of news. Children asking questions that no child should have to ask. Friends trying to figure out what happened and where to go next. Though I witnessed some of these moments of family reunification at the end and felt the emotions of those embraces, it was clear how deeply scarred those families already were. The trauma doesn't end just because someone goes home. And the truth is, not everyone was that lucky. Today, many individuals are still left without answers. They don't know where their loved ones are or what conditions they're in. They are searching, calling, hoping, desperate for answers, desperate for some kind of peace. This is inhumane. No one deserves to live like this. No one should wake up not knowing if their family will be whole at the end of the day. No one should have to wonder if they will be next target. But even in the face of that cruelty, we saw something else. We saw our community rise up. We didn't come with weapons or threats. We came with food, with water, and with support. We came with phone numbers, legal resources, and help. We came with each other. In face of fear, we brought care. In the face of violence, we brought love. Where they use excessive force, we show up with relentless compassion. Where they militarize, we organize. Where they try to terrorize, we build community. Where they try to silence us, we raise our voices even louder. They underestimate us because we're not afraid and we're not backing down. We are rooted in love, in justice, and in each other. We will continue to fight for the release of our loved ones, and we will continue to build systems of care, protection, and resistance, because that's what our people deserve. To those taken, we see you. We love you. We're fighting for you. To the families left behind, you are not alone. We are standing to you. And to this system, we are watching, we are organizing, and we will not stop. This is our home. This is our people. And no one, not ICE, not any agency, can take that away from us, ever. Thank you. ¿Se puede?
All right, we have one bonus speaker who is not affiliated with any of the organizations that put this on. She is simply somebody who was there, who was directly impacted and wants to share her story. So please welcome Jeanette Orozco.
Hello, can you hear me? Hi everyone, my name is Jeanette Orozco. I am the daughter of Vicente Orozco. I was there yesterday. We got a call around 1. My dad letting us know what was going on. We were really nervous. We were really scared. We didn't know what to do. The first thing we told my dad is don't answer any questions. Don't talk to anybody. and to make sure to ask for a lawyer if needed, and I told him to spread that around. My dad is somebody who I love very much, and to not know what's going on, we had contact with him for a few hours and then lost contact after he told us he would give us a call. They were zip tying people up. He mentioned that there was people on the roof pointing at them with guns, and he was really nervous, and we can hear it in his voice, and I've never heard my dad ever be that nervous in my life. So hearing that was very painful, very scary, and I'm angry, I'm mad, I'm heartbroken, and I'm sad. We waited, we asked questions, and we weren't getting any answers. I was hurt, and I was just trying to figure out what was going on. And so we waited, and we waited, and we pushed, and we asked for questions, and we were able to get a little closer. And when we got closer, we got pushed back with force. They were shooting rubber bullets at people. Me and my sister were able to move away and get out safely, and we still waited, and we still waited. And finally, we were told that they were processing and releasing people. And so we went to go find my dad. We got there, I screamed, I yelled his name, and he found us, and then we found him. And so we were able to see him waiting, sitting there, getting information, trying to figure out what was going on. And we waited, and we waited, and we continued to wait. And he was telling us he loved us from sitting down on the chairs. And we waited, and we waited, and we waited, and we continued to wait. And so hearing everybody's stories and just kind of seeing and hearing people scream for their families was the hardest thing to do. We tried to be as strong because we know that's what my dad wanted to do. He wanted us to be strong. And so we waited, and we waited, and we continued to wait. We saw people, we saw piles of zip ties on the floor. We saw people being put into vans. We saw people being put into buses, and we waited, and we continued to wait. And they were processing my dad, and I just screamed if he needs more information to let us know, because we continued to wait. And people were screaming, people were yelling, and we saw people being chained up and put into vans, into buses, and we waited, and we waited. And they finally released my dad. Luckily, he has documentation, so he was able to get out. But this is not about me. This is not about my dad. He was able to come home with us, but there's people who still haven't gone back with their families. And that's why we're here, because we all waited, and we're still waiting. And people need to hear what's going on. People need to see what's going on. There was kids there. I didn't see any, but there was kids. There's families being ripped apart. And we shouldn't have to be here. We shouldn't have to do this, but we're here because we care. And we're continuing to fight, so please hold each other tight and continue to do the good cause. This is for everybody. I love everybody here. I'm so thankful that you all are here, and I'm very, very glad that, everyone's here in community.
All right, so that is the final speaker that we have. Do we have any reporter questions that we can answer before we disperse? Peacefully, hopefully. Just be aware that we don't have a ton of information that we can prove at this time, but we would like to answer any questions you have that we can answer at this time. Yes.
Becky Boone with the Associated Press. A question for Nikki. You said that there was military there. Do you have any information? Can you give us any details about what branch or what, how you can tell that they were military as opposed to other federal law enforcement?
They were in military uniforms. It looked like the National Guard. So that would be my guess. I can't say absolutely. I do have videos of them, so I have quite a bit of evidence of when they were shooting. They formed in line formation, but they were all in military uniforms.
And, sorry, I don't want to jump ahead of others, but do you have any information about whether DHS and ICE and these other groups were there with the FBI on the FBI's warrant, or was there a separate warranted operation going on?
I do not have absolute information if they were there on the FBI's warrant. We did see them there, so we know that they were there on site. Now, whether they were on site during the original entry, I did not see anyone specifically that I could call ICE on original entry. People did inform us that they were asked if they were born here or if they were not, and they were divided according to that. There were a number of people scrambling to try to get us their families' documents, green cards, birth certificates, people wanting to prove their children were born here. But as far as at what point ICE arrived, I would say it was probably not long after. But I don't know if they were there in the beginning or not, because the military held us back as soon as we got there.
Do you guys have an idea of how many people are still in ICE custody?
Right now, there are lineups outside of our doors, and our phones are ringing off the hook. So I would say I don't have an exact number, but there's a lot. I can't say how many people exactly have been released. I know that the children were released. I know that the U.S. citizens were released. We have had some people who did have some type of status that were released one person particularly today. There were some others that were released later in the night. I was there until very late at night, and there were still people who were being held there who were getting out who we knew had green cards or were citizens. So there were a number of people released because a lot of people were citizens, they were residents. There were random people who were undocumented who were released, I think because of small children.
You mentioned that you had credible information about children. Can you give us any more details about their ages or the scenarios in which they were zip tied? And also, do you know if anybody was hit or injured by the rubber bullets?
There were people hit by the rubber bullets. As far as the extent of the injuries, I don't know, but they were hit, and there is videos of that. As far as the number of children, there were very young children in there. My understanding, and I do not have solid evidence of this, but I have seen children who have marks on their wrist, was that all the children were zip tied or tied. Some said tied with a string. So I'm not sure if the string to a young child is a zip tie, but they did all say that they were tied up. At some point they started getting untied and they were cut off of them. I don't know at what point or how long they were zip tied before that occurred.
Sorry, we can't comment on that right now. The question.
Yes. So right now, my understanding is that they're being processed through Boise and being detained in Mountain Home, although how long that will happen or what the bed space is, we don't know. Idaho does not have a detention facility, and so most of these people that are detained right now are going to be shipped out of state. When that is going to happen, we're not sure, but we as attorneys are trying to follow where they're going and figure out where they're going to send them so we can try to locate clients or people who we are going to be assisting with. But all of them's hearings will be out of state. None of them will be locally here unless they were released.
Where in Mountain Home?
The Mountain Home Jail. I think there's only Elmore County Jail, yes.
And maybe what specific rights are being violated by the federal government?
That's a very complex question. We are still evaluating all of the rights violations. It does appear there were, the children being tied up, detained. There were a number of U.S. citizens who were tied up, detained. People were separated. There were a lot of individuals in there who had nothing to do with this. There were families. There were a lot of families who had nothing to do with the reason that they said they went in. From what I can see, there were only 4 people arrested for criminal offenses. And what we're seeing is there were a number of people detained for immigration violations. We are still in the process of assessing, what types of rights violations went on in there. We are getting information that people were very aggressively dealt with, and they were refused an attorney because I was not let in to talk to my clients. So other rights violations, I'm not sure, but I do know that I requested to speak with my clients that were being detained in there, and I was refused entry.
How are the children who can't locate their parents? How are they being cared for right now?
My understanding is at this point, most of the children have. There's very few. We have located the parents of the children, so I don't think there's any more children out there who don't know where their parents are. The children who are out there that we know of right now are being cared for by relatives.
Unfortunately, we are going to have to end the Q&A portion of this at this time. Things are starting to escalate once again, and we do want people to get home and back to their cars safely. So we are going to end at this time. If there is anybody who is feeling threatened and would like a companion to walk with them to their car, please meet up here. We will have several people to walk with you to your car. If any reporters have any further questions, please do respond to the email that you got for the invitation to this press conference, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you.
Everybody, do not engage the protesters. Go directly to your cars. Thank you for coming. Go directly to your cars. Go directly to your cars, folks.
Because you can't be called a superstar like Secretariat. If Secretariat came in second, Secretariat would not have that big, beautiful bronze bus at the track of going. But I'll tell you, Rice is really a star. And he is the hardest working guy. And in a certain way, I'll get this right. Come on. But they are fantastic people, so I want to thank their secret service. And law enforcement in New York City, they're here tonight. These are spectacular people, sometimes underappreciated, unfortunately, but we appreciate them. We know what they go through. So, it's been what they call a historic event, but to be really historic, we have to do a great job. And I promise you that I will not let you down. We will do a great job. We will do a great job. I look very much forward to being your president. And hopefully at the end of 2 years or 3 years or 4 years or maybe even 8 years, you you will say, so many of you work so hard for us, but you will say that that was something that you really were very proud to do, and I can thank you very much. And I can only say that while the campaign is over, our work on this movement is now really just beginning. We're going to get to work immediately for the American people. And we're going to be doing a job that hopefully you will be so proud of your president. You will be so proud. Again, it's my honor. It was an amazing evening. It's been an amazing 2-year period. And I love this country. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you to my friends. Thank you.
You would have arrested Jesus. You would have deported Jesus. If he was actually here.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Sorry to keep you waiting. Complicated business. Thank you very much.
Why do you make me shout at you from a table? What are you fighting for? What are you fighting for? Try to stand
I
there
just
silent because
received
you're doing a great
a
job.
call
You're doing
from
a
Secretary
fantastic job
Clinton.
at it. Just stand there silent. Come talk to us.
She congratulated us. It's about us. On our
Come
victory.
talk to me. Come tell me.
And I congratulated her and her family on a very, very hard-fought campaign. I mean, she fought very hard. Hillary has worked very long.